Life Over Coffee. Conversations for transformation.
Every home has a leader. Someone must be in charge while everyone else follows the de facto leader. I'm speaking of hierarchy in relationships, not the equality among fellow image bearers. These concepts work together, by the way, not creating a tension, but actually fulfilling the possibilities of a God-centered home. As you think about your home, how would you define the orientation of your home? Who is in charge? Who is the rightful person to take the reins of your family? Maybe you can ask it this way: who do you want to lead your home? Let me illustrate. Biff is passionate about the Lord. Mabel, Biff's wife, joyfully follows Biff. Bert, Bart, and Bryce, the children, they are humbly submitting to their parents. Benny and Biffina, the dog and the cat, they are fat, lazy, and they are so happy. They are one big happy family, like they ought to be. They have established the orientation of their home as God-centered. Their family is an excellent picture for us to use to evaluate our homes, making the husband's agenda quite straightforward: to follow hard after God. Did you perceive that? The Lord should be our passion. The Lord should be our goal, our life. The Lord should be our leader. Let's suppose a husband loved God more than anything else in his life. In that case, he is not only pointed in the right direction, but he has positioned himself to follow the leader, while setting the right example to serve his family in the most useful way that he possibly can. If a husband is leaning heavily into God, he will be sustained and equipped by God to emulate the leadership of God for his family. If his wife is a Christian, she will more than likely follow him with joy. A woman would have to be insane not to desire a husband who is passionately in love with God, as evidenced by him practically being Jesus to her. Of course, part of his job description is to create an environment that compels his wife to follow him. He should be developing this kind of God-centered momentum in his home. If he is biblically crazy about God, his attitude, his thoughts, his behaviors toward others will consistently transform him into the person and the work of Jesus Christ, the gospel. Even when he fails, his passion for God will motivate him to repent quickly and will recalibrate, reestablish his equilibrium to a God-centered orientation of his home. Now let's suppose that your spouse is not following you. Before you begin to critique her, you may need to take a fresh and discerning look at yourself. I'm not saying that she's doing everything right. I'm just saying, first, take a look at yourself. Before you think about whom she is following, consider whom you are following, which implies the log-spec orientation that we read in Matthew 7. Who is on point in your home? If the Lord is not the point person of your home, then you need to change the leadership structure of your home. After a whole lot of living and a good bit of failing, one thing I have learned is that I cannot be trusted to be in charge of our home. My wife knows this, and so do our children. I have put my sin on display in our home many times. Hiding failures in a family is quite impossible. It is no secret to my family how I can mess things up. Lucia must know that I am not the leader of our family. She needs assurances. She needs to know there is someone more capable than me leading our home. Now, as you evaluate your home, let these two ideas guide your thoughts and your discussions. Number one, who do you and your wife want to lead your family? Who do you and your wife want to lead your family? Name that person. And then number two is more practical to reality. Who does lead your family? As you think about the orientation of your home, who or what would you say is on point leading? Who or what pulls your family along? What defines your home? Whoever or whatever is on the point of your family is your functional God. That could be little G-O-D or capital G-O-D. It could be the Lord Almighty, or it could be your work, your ministry, your activities. It could be your spouse or your children, a child-centered home. Someone may ask how a person in ministry could not have God on the point of their family. That doesn't make sense. Well, my response is one of the sadder commentaries about the Christian community. It is no secret that the fallout rate among pastors is high, partly due to their inability or maybe their unwillingness to guide their families biblically. What's true for them is also true for the rest of us who lead small groups, Bible studies, a parachurch organization, but fail to lead our families. Ignoring family failure can be easy. Being ministry-minded more than marriage-minded is commonplace. Some church leaders' ministries are a way of placing an ointment on the failures in the home. Many women in horrible marriages lead Bible studies. Being an example to their flock is not as important as filling a slot in the church or finding refuge from their home life, a brief moment of sanity in an otherwise disappointing family dynamic. If you are ignoring marriage and family failure while pursuing ministry activity, what keeps you from dealing with your marriage problems? Is it your reputation? Is it your craving for security? Is it your desire for approval? Is it not a priority of your church? Are they more pragmatic than personal? They would allow you to fill a spot as the primary thing rather than taking care of your marriage. Anything that replaces the work needed to put Christ on display in your life, in your marriage, in your family is just straight up idolatry. God replacements like these can suck the life out of what should be a vibrant, God-centered home. I have known many men in ministry who have undesirable marriages. Christians place these men on pedestals, praising them for their skills, and they do have skills. Other husbands and dads spend their waking hours chasing the dollar. The American dream has duped them into pursuing the cultural lie of prosperity. They want the right neighborhood, the right job, a beautiful wife, activity-centered children, and the approval of their circle of friends. Too often, Christianity becomes a tack-on to their lives. Religion is a means to be connected to the right people while providing morally based training for their children. We're talking about nominalism here, and it is a dangerous business. When God is not the point and purpose of these families, the fallout will be inestimable. Have you ever sat in traffic behind a car that was not moving? All the other cars were moving, but you were in the only stopped line. That's how it goes, you know. The person in front of you was texting. That is what a wife feels like when her husband is not passionately pursuing God, the leader of his home. He is preoccupied with other things. The Godward momentum of her family gridlocks because her husband is not progressing in his walk with the Lord. When the man is not moving forward, it hinders everyone behind him. In the movie My Fair Lady, the character, Eliza Doolittle, was at the racetrack pulling for her favorite horse, Dover. Eliza was a lower-class Cockney flower girl who Henry Higgins was training in the ways of a proper lady. She was put to the test when asked to have tea at the track with some of the upper crust. She did well until the race was closing in on the finish line and her horse, Dover, was not moving fast enough. As the horses were heading toward the line, Eliza, in a momentary lapse into desperation, reached into her past and yelled, "Dover, move your blooming arse." As you might imagine, all the proper ladies choked on their tea. They were flabbergasted. Though a Christian woman might not say it exactly the way Eliza did, that is how many of them think when their husbands are not leading in the sanctification of their home. It is as though the wife is running up her husband's backside because of his lack of spiritual forward movement, momentum. If your marriage and family are stagnating like this, then here are a few questions for your consideration. There are some for the husband and also for the wife. Number one, husband, does your wife humbly ask you to follow the leader of your home, who is God? Do you have a hunger for God and a desire to follow Him as your family follows you? Do you know how to lead this way? Number three, are you embarrassed to lead your family because you feel like a hypocrite? Now, this is a legit question. Some husbands recognize that they do sin. They do sin on occasion. They recognize their fallenness and they feel like a hypocrite. Now, there's a lack of understanding of the gospel there. We are saints who do sin, no question, but some men, some people have a hard time reconciling these two truths. Number four, wife, how are you encouraging and motivating your husband to lead you? Do you nag him? Are you critical of your husband? Number six, what is he more aware of? Your critique and nagging or your encouragement and motivation? Finally, number seven, can you and your spouse talk about the leadership failure in your home, assuming there is? If there's not, praise God, but if there is, can you talk about it? If you can't, then you must find help within your local church community immediately. The first step in reorienting your home to God is to be able to speak about what is wrong with it. You will not be able to do this without the humbling power of the gospel working in both of your hearts. If you cannot talk about what has gone wrong in your marriage, you will need a gospel reorientation of the heart so that you can have a gospel reorientation in your marriage and family. Only humble people can talk about what is wrong with them. Couples who cannot honestly and humbly share their faults and failures have drifted far from the truths proclaimed on Golgotha's hill. A man or woman who knows where they came from has nothing to prove, nothing to hide, and nothing to protect. The gospelized person is not afraid of what others may know about them because they are resting in this truth. Quote, I was once a lost sinner, but now I am saved. I am the Lord's beloved child. His approval is all I need. By grace, God saved me. I do not fear what others think about me or what they may say about me. God has declared me free, not guilty, and pleasing to Him. The works of Christ define me. What hinders you from talking about how each of you has failed the marriage? Husband, will you address your failures without attaching her failures to yours? Will you humbly ask your wife how you can lead her more effectively? Wife, will you address your failures without justifying or defending them? Will you humbly let your husband know how he can lead you more effectively? The two most common misapplications regarding the orientation of the home concept are 1, the child-centered home, and 2, the passive husband. The child-centered home, some families put their children on point. The parents follow the children. Everything centers around them. The typical mom in a child-centered home can spend 10 to 15 years of her life in a minivan, caving to the children's expectations, carting them around and keeping them activity-centered. These children become increasingly self-centered as life revolves around what they want. They're typically weak when it comes to serving others. It has never been their habit. And then the passive husband, another common problem in a family gone wrong, is the spiritually passive male. The passive husband's home is where the wife takes on more of the spiritual leadership while the man is preoccupied with other things that feed his self-centered preferences. The child-centered home and the passive husband home is upside down. Typically, the child and the dad are from the same home, since the lazy dad opens the door for the child to be the center of attention. Most parents don't realize the monster that they are creating until that child becomes a teenager. I am talking about the orientation of the home, the family, who is in charge. If your home's orientation focuses on the wrong person or the wrong things, please understand that you cannot correct what is wrong until you both are willing to sit down, talk about it, and make a practical plan to change. If you will not talk about what's wrong, I appeal to you to find someone who can walk with you through these problems. the wrong orientation of the home rarely autocorrects. If it continues, the future fallout will break your heart. There is only one right way for the home to function. The Lord must lead, and everyone else must practically follow His leadership. Let me wrap up here with a few questions. 5. Number 1, will you talk about the questions put forth that I've shared with you already? If you want to read this article, go to lifeovercoffee.com. Look for the orientation of the home. If you type orientation, just type orientation in the search box and you'll find it. And you can go through these questions. I've asked you several, and I'll not repeat them here, but they are at Life Over Coffee, and you're welcome to have them. Number 2, will you set aside time to talk about your marriage? Number 3, if not, will you find someone to help you and your spouse? Number 4, are you in a church that values your marriage over your ministry, not this pragmatic church that's more interested in plug and play and not so much interested in the character of the individuals who are in ministry positions or the state of their personal lives or their marriage? If you're not, you may need to seek help outside your church. You may need to find another church. And then number 5, if only one of you is willing to make changes, will you begin making those changes today? Your spouse may not be interested in changing, but you can. They do not stop you from changing. The grace of God is more powerful than whatever your spouse may be doing. The orientation of your home, you can find it at lifeovercoffee.com. Thank you so much, and God bless.
Thanks for joining us. Learn more and get access to other resources at lifeovercoffee.com.